Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this panel discussion on the power of community in cybersecurity. My name is Yona, and I'm excited to moderate this panel today. When we are speaking about cybersecurity, we don't think about it just as a technical knowledge or a technical challenge, but also it's a collaborative effort that we have. Since technology nowadays it's continuing to advance and threats are evolving, it's becoming more and more important to leverage the power of community. And this usually has been done either through sharing the knowledge, supporting one another, innovating together, or different community initiatives. These are some of the ways which basically nowadays are reshaping the way how we approach cybersecurity. So to go more deep into this topic and to speak more, I have Aaron from CyberInfo and Julian from CrowdSec. So now I would leave now I want to give the stage to both of you to introduce yourself. Aaron?
Yeah, sure. So I'm sure some of y'all watching already know me. I'm Aaron Fillmore. I started Cyber Info, gosh, back in January of 2023. So we have a mission to empower people in their cyber careers. If they are interested in getting started, how do you do that? And we try to give them the resources and access to industry professionals such as myself to answer questions and figure all that fun, difficult stuff out. Yeah, you'll see me around doing CTFs. I'm a huge nerd with that stuff. We have one starting tonight, actually. So, if you ever having problems with that or want to do CTFs, obviously, you can reach out to us and we can get you hooked up. But pass it over, pass it over here to Julian here.
Hello, hi everybody. I'm Julian. I am Deputy CTO at CrowdSec. And for the most part, I'm handling technical partnerships and the integration of our CrowdSec data into different vendors from OpenCTI, MISP, Beehive, etc., etc. And you probably know Lawrence better if you're familiar with CrowdSec because he animates a lot of our webinars. He also does some streaming to accompany the community and the users on using CrowdSec for normal and also advanced use. But I'm happy to be here today with you two, Aaron and Yona.
Thank you. So before we get started, I also want to add a quick note that we would love to have everyone also more involved and participate. So if you have any questions that you would like our panelists to answer, please just edit in the chat and we will be able to ask it during the Q&A. So thanks again, everyone, for being here. And to start it off, one of the first questions that I had in mind considering this topic is that why is community involvement basically so impactful in cybersecurity compared to other fields? What are some maybe unique values that community brings basically to cybersecurity efforts?
Yeah, sure. Julian, do you want to start there?
Yeah, I could start. It's kind of a big part of the motivation behind CrowdSec. In cybersecurity, what was lacking a lot in terms of collaborating on detecting and blocking attacks was the diversity. And a community, but more importantly, an open source community really allows anybody from any sector, from any size, to be involved in the project as part of an active member or just as part of a node detecting attacks. You are a target that is different for the hackers. So you bring diversity in the signals and you help us identify quicker all kind of different attackers. So this is really the core idea behind CrowdSec, and the community and open source was the only way to achieve that.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's kind of like what you're talking about. Community is important, and kind of relaying to or tying it into like our mission and whatnot. There are a lot of resources out there for learning, getting into cyber, doing whatever, and one can go out on their own and try to figure it out. and there are plenty of people who are successful at that, but it's hard to do that sometimes. So I think communities are really important because there's so much out there. So having a community with people who have experience, and they can say, well, if you want to do this, these are some resources that have helped us or other people. It can make that learning process much more efficient, as well as just introduce you to new things. Everyone has different experiences, so being able to meld those all together so you can learn from other people's mistakes, or just different whatever experiences with I don't know, tools or environments or whatever. I think it just makes people much more well-rounded, or they can pitch a question and say, I'm having this issue, I can't figure it out. Someone goes, oh, I've had this problem before. And it's kind of reminiscent of like Stack Overflow, for instance. Before ChatGPT, that's where you could go to get any question answered pretty much. Yeah, they're definitely important, that's for sure.
So since we are speaking about the learning and education part, one thing that comes to my mind, so cybersecurity is usually felt a bit like very highly technical or complex. So how are like your communities, CyberInfo and CrowdSec, trying to make more accessible the information for people with different backgrounds?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It's
I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I got a really, really good example here too. So one thing that I personally been wanting to get into more is space related cybersecurity and satellite security and whatnot. And that industry is very kind of closed door. They keep a lot of the cards to the chest. So there's not a lot of easy resources out there. So one of the things that I've been trying to do and put together is curating those resources so others don't have to go through that, annoying process of just digging through PDFs and all kinds of web searches to find that stuff. So I think having communities that could curate that and kind of go back to what I said, the previous question, just showing people the way instead of them having to bumble around through the dark and figure it out. I think that's that can really help a lot. And then as far as the background part of the question goes, for me personally, I was very fortunate to have a computer at a young age and have that exposure. And there are a lot of people who who don't have that opportunity, but still have that interest. So one of the things that I like to do when we have the available funds is I really enjoy giving away vouchers to platforms like TryHackMe or Hack the Box, so that way people who maybe aren't in a position to otherwise afford that, they could get that exposure to those concepts and see, hey, is this something that I really like? And it's been really satisfying seeing some people, they get access to TryHackMe, they get in there and start burning through the rooms and like, this is a ton of fun. I think I've really found what I want to do. And so that's one way we try to do that, and hopefully in the future we'll be in a position where we can do that much more consistently and help get those people access to the education and tools that otherwise might be kind of off limits.
It's nice to hear. What about you, Julien?
Yeah, I think to go along with that, people with different background will tackle a topic from a different angle, one that you might not have thought if you are, for example, us, a company of engineers, with most of them with a background of cybersecurity. And sometimes some questions, some feedback, or some requests coming at a certain angle kind of open our eyes on a way to present our product, or some easier to access package, etc., etc. So we are really craving for all those interaction, helping us to see, okay, so it seems that this is better understood when presented under that light. So this is maybe a path that we should follow. So yeah, some eyes-opening feedbacks, and also a lot about testing to the limits. Everybody's got his own home lab or a server, and nobody's built it the same way. So if it works on most of it, you know that it's kind of it's done its proof.
Nice.
So yeah, I think only via a community you can access again this diversity of feedback and points of view.
And being again in the the learning and the education topic, another thing that actually comes up is that how do you foster basically this culture of continuous learning within your community? And especially since we have new threats or new technologies that are coming quite often.
You want to take that one, Julian? I know that definitely ties in a lot with what CrowdSec does.
Well,
or I can answer if you want a minute. So I know with cyber info, one of the things I do is kind of in my daily, wake up, start doing stuff, is I look at threat feeds and news, and so I try to take the things that I find interesting or think that maybe the community should be aware of, and they get posted into the server automatically, and I think keeping people aware of new threats with threat intel and whatnot, and saying, hey, if there is or this thing happened, this is something that people should be aware of and understand why this attack was successful. I think it's really important because it helps people to better understand why attacks happen, how to defend against them, and even no matter if you're doing if you're doing on the defensive side of the house or the offensive side of the house, or GRC, whatever the case may be, having that understanding of what you're defending against or what you're trying to replicate if you're on the offensive side of the house, I think is really good for just continuously learning to better prepare yourself for the next thing that comes down the line, the next log4j, so you know how to react to that, and just not let it overwhelm you.
All right. Yeah, I think I was not too clear on the questions, so I think I wanted to ask you to repeat the question.
Yeah, definitely. So since we were speaking again about the learning part and the education, is how you make sure that in the community you foster this culture of always learning or continuous learning, since we have new threats or new technologies that are coming every day. So how to make sure that people are always not only themselves actually learning, but also sharing this with other people in the community.
Well, first initiative we had, it was kind of centered around having people first understand cybersecurity. It was with CrowdSec Academy website, but also in general, I think a lot of the topic that Lorian deals with in his weekly streaming is going to be about, okay, so I've got this specific issue, or my configuration is like that, or there's this new technology, you want to interface CrowdSec with it. Let's go explore that way to do things. And I think from live streaming and involving people in some experiments, it's always a good way to exchange and to discover new things. We of course want to do much more. We had the plan to do kind of a request board for CVEs or scenarios where everybody could participate, etc. So this is in the making, but you don't build a thing like that. It takes time. At the moment, it's still only via GitHub that people participate with, issues and etc. And CrowdSec is very active on releasing the latest CVE patch. And this way, people kind of understand how it works to detect, protect, and what is a V patch. What is virtual patching? What do we protect against? Oh, okay, so someone could have done some bad thing on my website with this only. So, yeah.
Nice. And maybe another thing that I can also add, what I see on Discord, is that usually when someone joins and is asking about some specific thing that they were impacted, I think is one of the ways how other people as well in the community are learning about it. Because either they might be curious and try to help that person, so they start also searching about the specific issue and so on. But it's, I think, another way how people are kind of being up to date with what's going on. So, like, since basically it, like when speaking about cybersecurity communities, of course that it happens that they might be sharing sensitive information on threats or vulnerabilities. But how do you manage to balance security and openness in these kind of cases?
Oh man, that's the golden question, isn't it? I could definitely take that one because that's something. Yeah, we see a lot, and I think it really, a lot of it comes down to intent. I think when someone is sharing something about, say, it's like an exploit or something like that. Um, I really dig into the intention behind it, who that person is, and are they brand new and they're just dropping this in here thinking it's Skid Central, and it's like, no, get out of here with that. But if it's for genuinely educational purposes, not this is for educational purposes as a blanket cover from prosecution or something like that, then yeah, let's talk about it and learn from it. I think that I'm personally of the mindset that generally speaking, things should not be hidden or masked, because if they are, then the wider community cannot be aware and defend against it. So it really depends on, like I said, kind of the intent and what they're sharing. If it's something like, I don't know, oh, here's how to swat people, there's no defensive benefit outside of maybe understanding like what the process is. But for generally speaking, if it's something that there's no learning benefit from, it's like, we don't need to be talking about that. But if it's something where, sure, this is malicious, here's a ransomware sample, if things are being handled correctly and shared correctly and safely, I usually am pretty, pretty open with that, because it's, hey, go detonate this in a VM on any run or something like that, or triage and see how it works, better understand it, figure out what's the actual encryption process, and then you can go write YARA rules for that or whatever. So when it comes to threat intel, though, I know there are some. Well, yeah, it's great that information be shared. We still have to respect the wishes of, say, CISA or something like that, or Mandiant, whoever's putting out that threat intel. If it's something that you are subscribed to, or they're saying, hey, this is relegated to people in InfraGard or something like that, you can't share this. There's usually a reason for that, and so that's also another instance where it's like, okay, we're not sharing national security secrets on the War Thunder forum here. We gotta be respectful and understanding of classifications.
And is it similar for the CrowdSec community, Julian?
Yeah, and also because we are first detect and defend community, you will approach the issue or the reveal of a vulnerability by saying, here's how you make sure, or you detect if you are potentially at risk. Eventually, this is maybe what you need to do to protect yourself, etc. So also show that your intent is virtuous, and but I think anyway, someone with malicious intent will not post it in a defense community forum. He'd rather push it to his bad actor forum. But yeah, and also yeah, always in general, in more general sense in the community, always be constructive. I think about something. Someone might relay information that dates a few days, So instead of, yeah, like that's old news or stuff like that, it's also built on, okay, what's your source? How comes you came across this a few days before me? You know, uh, always have something to share and to improve your source verification and your awareness and how quick you can get the good info.
Nice. So maybe to quick jump in a bit different topic, still within the community, since both CyberInfo and CrowdSec are building a cybersecurity community. What I'd love to learn a bit more is that what are some of the biggest challenges that you had when you were building some community-driven approach in cybersecurity? And especially around maintaining this trust or quality control and so on.
Do you want to start with that, Julian?
I would say sometimes it's when you have an opportunity to merge or sympathize with another community. Some people might not be totally open or not ready, for good reasons. Sometimes you're like, okay, who's CrowdSec? How they're pretty young. Why do they want to kind of have their product mixed with ours? So, kind of go past this first sentiment of distrust when the community expands. And of course, our members are going to be part of other communities. And when they want to push your stuff to another one, how is it going to be received? And vice versa. It's like, do that in CrowdSec. And do you have time to do that? How do you verify that it's a good move? How many people wants this? So I think this is one of the challenges in terms of expanding and growing and getting more and more feedback, more and more diverse requests.
Yeah, I think especially with the trust and quality control aspect. Obviously, CyberInfo's mission, what we do is a little different from CrowdSec, but there's still many parallels there. If no one trusts what you're putting out and the quality control is bad, then why would they be there? So I think one of the things that I learned, I'm still learning, it's going to be a never-ending process, is making sure to slow down. Just because something sounds like a good idea might not mean that it is. And making sure you talk to the community, talk to members of the board and whatnot, because you start breaking trust, or people start thinking, why? Then it's just a hard slope to climb out of. The one of the other biggest challenges that I've seen with the community driven approach too is communities all operate in different ways, there's different rules and just the way that people are. So there's inherently clashes sometimes with people don't like the way a community is run or what have you. And that's just been something since the dawn of time. So I know with CyberInfo, we have some communities that we partner with that do kind of a similar thing to us. And we try not to see it as competition, because someone might not, just for whatever reason, mesh well in our community, but they might mesh well in another community, just because of the people, the way it's run, whatever. So I know for us, we try to have kind of an openness with how we do things. So if they want to make a competing community or something that does the exact same thing, ask how we did it, and we'll tell you so you can learn from our mistakes and you can go do something better, and we can all learn. And I think that approach has enabled other communities to do something different, and then we've benefited from that, because we're okay. This is how you did something. We didn't even think of that. We'll do that too, and it just it's just a more positive iteration on the communities versus more defensive and we did it first, sort of thing.
I really like this one, actually. Yeah, it's very important to, collab. That's why I think the collaboration part, it's important, because in this way you can learn more what is going well or not in other communities as well. And actually connected to this, which you kind of actually already mentioned, but what is the role that partnerships between communities or organizations and so on play in building a more resilient, let's say, cybersecurity landscape?
Do you want to take that, Julian?
I could, in our special case of having a piece of software that is available, partnership with in educational institution, for example, will be very beneficial, because it's a time in the life of someone where, one, you've got, kind of freedom to do stuff, to experiment. You've got the energy, creativity, and also you are soon going to apply that to the world. And so, starting to they can own the product as it grows with their career, and then, makes the community stronger as they have other people adhere. They discover the use case of their work, of their job, their career, and at the same time they try to fit CrowdSec into this. And this is a very natural way to grow the software, to make it evolve, to have it go through any kind of use case. So
Yeah, and I think for us and the way we approach it, it's kind of a similar idea where we're not creating software, obviously, but we know of we know what's good out there, or at least I know it's kind of opinion based. But what we kind of in my mind, it's a good symbiotic relationship where for instance, I can say, hey, when you're building your home lab, and you want to see interesting things, you want to see like what's the reality of having a device sitting on the internet that's open to being scanned. You can use CrowdSec to kind of visualize that, see those SSH brute force attacks and whatnot. And I think it's a good relationship because it's a product that we like and believe in. We think there's tangible benefit there. So as people are getting started in the industry, they see stuff like that, they have experience with it, and then as they move into their roles and responsibilities, they get hired somewhere. If there's a use case for something like that, they have experience with. They can say, "Hey, I've used this. It's a good tool," and so there's that added benefit there. But it's also kind of a double-edged sword where from our standpoint, we really have to do our due diligence with the companies that we partner with, whose stuff that we're pushing out there, because it would and it's a constant evaluation too, because things change, leadership changes happen, and it's not great if someone is saying, oh hey, we should use this tool because I had experience with it, and they get into an environment and blows everything up. So making sure that people get experience with good tools, and we're partnering with the right people, because at the end of the day, that's what a lot of cybersecurity is based on, is the tools and the other companies out there. So having that good relationship is definitely important, and not being afraid to change things up because things change.
Then, kind of connected to this, I wanted to hear a bit more. What are some initiatives, and this can be, events or ambassador programs or kind of similar, that you have in your community that people can get, more involved. So in this way, it helps community growing, community engaging, and not only within your community, but also in the cybersecurity community generally.
Yeah, that's so with CyberInfo specifically, we're a nonprofit, registered 501c3, and so we we have volunteer or the ability to bring on volunteers. It's kind of tough because while we and maybe it's just more of a this where we're at right now with cyber info. Um, it's kind of hard to say like, oh, we need a volunteer for this or we need a volunteer for that. And part of it is just as founders, we put a lot of it on ourselves. Um, and as we move forward, we want to give those opportunities to more people. But one thing that we try to do is if someone has an idea or a project that they want to, maybe they don't have the reach to make it happen or just don't know how to architect it, or whatever the case may be, we really open up cyber info for those volunteer opportunities. So if they need a platform to run things on, or they need a bit of funding to make that happen, that's one thing that we try to do. So people have initiatives like that they want to bring to us and they want to have reach. We really open that up there. And then as far as cyber info's like flagship thing, if you will, we're currently working on a platform called Cyber Courses, which, despite its name, we're not making courses, but it is a curated or a platform of curated information for people who are interested in getting into cybersecurity. But it also applies to people who are in the industry already. We want to help give people good information moving forward, so they can forge their own path instead of, oh, just do this, this, and this, and you'll have a 6-figure job in 6 months. So we're trying to be as realistic as possible about it and advise people, hey, this is the reality of the industry. It's it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, but if you're interested and you have the drive to do it, here are the tools to forge your own path. So I think. I think that
Nice.
answers the question.
Yeah, nice. That's really great job, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
And what about CrowdSec, Julian?
I think you're muted.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Oh yeah. I was saying, yeah, I could ask you. You're very in the center of what we are setting up. And last year, we organized an event, a real life event where people would discover CrowdSec and would learn to craft scenarios. It was a really cool event. We had, I think, about 60 participants, divided in teams. Even the winning team were students coming from a uni in Denmark or Norway, I think. So they heard about it, they were excited about trying out, and they came all the way to Paris to do that. But yeah, we want to organize more events around understanding not specifically CrowdSec, but the different ways a server can be breached, compromised, and CrowdSec is about the exposed perimeter, but cybersecurity, there's other aspect of it. There's all the phishing, and you've got ransomware, etc. That is post-exploit, etc. So there's a lot to learn about and be aware, and so we want to do more real life event like this, I think, but also have more ambassadors on different with different backgrounds, etc.
Nice. Then I think you, especially Aaron, touched it a bit, actually, when it comes to the community contributions, especially, since they are doing that in their volunteer time and so on. So how basically do you ensure that this community contribution align with the broader goal of the organization, while also, still allowing them to have that creative freedom or different ideas that they have that they want to do?
Oh yeah, that's tough, especially how the field is always evolving. So like what the best practice last week might change, and that's I think it's one of the cool things about the industry too, because it is always changing. and so you're always getting to do something new, learn something, whatever. It's it can be it can be tedious at times trying to keep up to date with everything. But I think it's all about communication. At the end of the day, is really understanding and asking those questions of, what are you trying to do? What's your end goal? Who do you want to reach? All those sort of things, and then allowing people to have that freedom, obviously, but just making sure, okay, is this kind of continuous check-ins? Is this following with our guiding principles and whatnot? So it's definitely a balancing act, because you never want to be micromanaging and breathing down someone's neck about, okay, well, what are you doing here, this, that, or the other. But I think communication, setting clear expectations, try not to be ambiguous. Maybe a bit of ambiguity to allow creative freedom, obviously, is good. Best judgment and all that. But yeah, it's definitely, like I said, I think comes down to a balancing act that you just kind of have to learn by doing, so to speak. Figure it out as you go.
Indeed.
Yeah, I would just add maybe just the general stuff. Best practice is you can see it at different level. If best practice is, you should put that software on. You take a step back, or you look at a little deeper. Is why did we need this software? It's like, because there's this and that. Okay, is there the problem is still on? Okay, is it still working fine? Okay, but there are other issues maybe, or other vulnerabilities here and there. So I think it's also constantly reevaluate what you thought you knew, and don't be afraid to challenge your own practices, and also communicate and challenge each other, in a constructive way. That's always what brings the best out of a discussion.
Yeah, keeping an open mind. Yeah.
I
have to remind myself of that all the time.
Always agreeing about this is the best stuff is not always good. Every month try to say, okay, what if it was not? What is missing? Let's say there's something missing. Let's change. What's missing? What more do we need?
Yeah, that's why feedback is very important, actually, in the community, constructive feedback. So speaking about the practices a bit, did you ever had some situation, especially if you can share that community members shared some misinformation or some outdated cybersecurity practices in the community? And how did you handle it as well?
Way too many times, I feel like. So this maybe this is a controversial move, but we like kind of like what I said, things are always evolving, things are always changing. I don't think there's it's hard to fault someone for sharing information that was previously correct, or it all comes down to intent at the end of the day. But sometimes, and this has happened with our community, there are people who will consistently share wrong information because they're trying to be helpful, which is fair and understandable. But it's dangerous at some point when you're sharing wrong information because you don't understand something, and that results in someone purchasing something that they shouldn't or they don't need, especially when there's monetary loss there. So our solution for people who consistently do that is we have a role that we give them that says gives bad advice, so people know, do not listen to what this person says. You're still welcome in the community. You're welcome to learn and share your information and share your viewpoint and whatnot. But if someone has proven that they consistently should not be listened to, I would rather deal with the drama and fallout of them having that role, because like I said, if someone's losing money or they're spending a couple $100s to fix something that they just need to flip a USB around and plug it in the right way, that's not cool. So I think I think that's one way we handle it, but also being aware and correcting that information. But maybe that person is right. So kind of like what Julian was saying, be kind of have that open mind, be mindful that I might think, oh, that's wrong information, but what if it isn't? and being able to go look, kind of maybe research that beforehand, before saying, "Oh, you're wrong." Maybe they're right. So I think it is a delicate balance, just like the previous question. But I think that it's important to not be afraid to. Um, I don't want to say publicly call out or shame someone, because that's never the right move, but to protect your community members against others who, even with the best intentions, are giving wrong information, especially consistently. It's the right thing to do, even though it's uncomfortable. It's hard. Um, Running a community, you have to do those difficult things and try to navigate and handle it the best way, the best outcome for everyone. And obviously that everyone will have their opinion about whether it was the right thing to do or not, but it's all a learning process.
Indeed.
Yeah,
And
and
yeah, I was just about to ask you, Julian, do you have any situations from the CrowdSec community?
I don't have any specific example from our community. I know there's been a few miscommunication that led to frustration of, priority in our roadmap, and some member of the community said, why is my stuff still pushed back when we thought that we were prioritizing it? It was just like, French speaking English to some other non-English native speaking English, and we all thought we were doing the right thing. But to come back to bad information, unless it's like really repeated offender, sometimes understanding why the belief of that person was that this is good, sometimes brings some knowledge about, okay, so this is not known by him and maybe not by others. I've got an example is, 2 years ago with CrowdSec, or 2 or more years ago, we did a scenario to detect the Log4j vulnerability, and we did a snapshot of the IPs that we saw doing it, and we put this snapshot somewhere, so that there's a link in our article. And someone from another community relayed and used this list 2.5 years later, and saying, yeah, block this is bad IPs. Yeah, no, it's not up to date. It's like a snapshot from 2 years ago. But then, maybe this person was not ill-intended. It's just that they don't realize that a list of compromised machine is going to move very quickly. And so, it's like, hey buddy, this is why nobody trusts block lists. Yeah, you need to have fresh info. But I'm sure this person was trying to help say, hey, I scrapped the internet and I found this list of bad IPs. Yeah, this is not the kind of information that kind of stand the standing time.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if a DigitalOcean IP from 2 years ago was still doing malicious stuff. They're usually pretty quick to shut that down.
Okay, another question then that I would like to add, because we are kind of getting closer to the end now. Yeah. So last year in October was the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And my question would be, how can these communities, either like the CyberInfo and CrowdSec communities or communities in general, can help to contribute when it comes to educating the general public regarding some safety practices or some effective approaches for online security. So how we can make sure basically that some simple things we can not only have within our community, but share with a bit the broader community.
Yeah, Julie, do you want to take that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, that's I wish that we did a little bit more for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I know for the place I work at, for my day job, internally we did we made some different forms of content. Some people made videos. Some people made or wrote articles and stuff like that. So I think a lot of that similar sort of stuff is definitely a great way to contribute. I would say leaning into your strengths. So if you have a lot of experience making videos or something, do it that way. get together with other people who have an interest in putting that stuff together. It's a great way to collaborate and do that. I know for I think next year we're going to shoot for a CTF. Huntress, for instance, they did a whole CTF for the entire month, for 30 days, which I don't know if I'd be able to do that, but having just
Yeah.
events like that where you're sharing information, awareness stuff, however, whatever works best for the community, I think is a good way to do that.
Maybe one quick thing I can add, because it was kind of similar for CrowdSec this year. We might have a lot of ideas to do, but in the end, sometimes it's either time or it depending. But what we tried was asking communities some tips regarding, how to be up to date, or generally what are some tips that they give to their family, friends, and so on. And it could be also some podcasts and so on that they shared. I think we just need to also improve that people start sharing a bit more. We got a couple of, let's say, resources that they shared, but it would be nice sharing more, because in this way, it's not only us that we are seeing what others are doing and so on, but other people in the community can do that as well.
Oh yeah, no, that's really good stuff for sure.
Yeah, in general, that month, I think it would be important to make cybersecurity a bit less overwhelming. Small step. If you talk to your parents about cybersecurity, just go over not having like the name of your child as a password for your email, where you get your banking stuff on, etc. And I think you will have done your part for cybersecurity to your parents. And yeah, at different level, nobody is going to be an expert from day one. So it's like, how do I do one more step? And in this year I'm a bit more covered. Next year I'll see what's next. Next year maybe we learn how to decrypt that a domain is a phishing domain. I think that's one of the first stuff I explained to my parents, and I repeat it every year. They are really aware of phishing, but they always, they see a domain and they always doubt. And sometimes people have very, very bad domains. I had some experience with government communication having a domain that is like a sentence separated by dash, like for national health insurance. I was like, what the hell are you doing for this campaign? Use your main domain. What the hell? Are you not aware of phishing? Yeah, it's getting better in Europe. There's a lot of thing being put in place, and everybody's awareness is rising very quick. Oh yeah, incremental steps make cybersecurity kind of digestible for everybody, so that at the end, as a whole, if your parents do not get their password in a pwned, I mean, you kind of protected somehow more of that. They're not going to be the node for phishing email stuff, etc., etc.
Indeed. So to kind of close it up, I'd love to hear from you two some advice that you'd give for people when it comes to joining communities in cybersecurity, or also sharing in case someone is new and doesn't know how to join CyberInfo or CrowdSec community. What would be the best way to do that?
Well, for CrowdSec, again, because we've got a piece of software, there's multiple ways to enter the community. Either you are a bit coding savvy and you've tinkered, and you look at you don't have to look at the code, but maybe you look at the scenario and you create your own scenarios. And sometimes you just have some web server, you got a gaming server, and you need help. So you've got the pure user, and then you've got the contributor approach. I think share your experience, the good and the bad. Throw a few what if and it would be good if on the different spaces to discuss, like Discord. And that's a very good way to start maybe seeing people that do the same stuff, that already have some scenario for your same things. And then you build on top of each other. You don't reinvent the wheel. You find groups within the communities. And it's a good way to, it's like having a guild in a video game. You've got groups of similar people in a community. I think that's a good way to approach stuff. Start interacting with people.
Yeah, definitely. And then you've got the GNU plus Windows user guy. Man, if there is a constant in the universe, it is him. Because I always see them in there chatting or whatever. If I post a question, they'll be like, "Oh, have you looked at this?" I know with Cyber Info, obviously we're our primary community space is Discord. So joining on there, it's discord.gg/crowd. I'm sorry, cyber info. On there, we have a lot of different channels for whatever memes. That's probably one of my favorite ones to go in and look at what people are posting. But if people have questions, they need help. So, I don't want to say tech support, but that sort of thing. If they have a question, how does this work, or maybe they have a networking homework problem that maybe they need some clarification on. We don't do your homework for you, but we'll help you understand it. And then just chatting. People have questions or they want to know how to get started. We've got a dedicated forum section with a getting started post that kind of outlines a lot of what we're going to put into cyber courses. But someone just wants to get industry professionals' opinion, or what community out there will help me find a job, stuff like that. We're always happy to help give people the resources they need, and all that fun stuff.
Nice. So I can add also a quick note that also for CrowdSec is actually our community is also on Discord. And we have also, especially the launch channel, that it's kind of a mix of a lot of things. But usually I love when people just pass by to say hi and who they are. I think now we are close to the end. I don't see some new question on the chat. So thanks a lot, Aaron and Julien. It was really nice to have this panel discussion with you both. Thanks everyone for joining, and I hope to see you in our next events.
Sounds good. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.